Well, my name is Alan Green, and I'm a northeast-based commercial photographer. And I'm very keen on basically helping people with their social media, their websites, content in print as well, and so of course updated imagery and so contemporary, specific imagery rather than just stock for a particular business. No, it's very much a manual process. Having something like Veritent to consider is huge because I think it's so important to know where your images are. You might think they're somewhere and they're not necessarily. So you put a lot of, I think photographers put a lot of time and effort, but there's a huge skill set involved, and for me that's been developed over 40 years. So to have imagery out there somewhere on the internet, and of course we live in this digital world, you just never know how your images might be used. So it's a great idea, I think, to have somebody actually capable of being able to track and tell you where your images are, give you data and information about it. There's a variety of reasons for wanting to know where your images are. I think part of it is a commercial thing. I think that's you might find that a client maybe is using images in a way that you never thought about, which could be quite legitimate of course, but it may just be something that's new to you as a photographer and to a supplier to that client as well. The main thing is if images are being used and it's against copyright, and of course that's something that's very important, it should be, to all photographers. So to be able to know about where they are and how they're being used. So yes, the takedown notices, that kind of thing, are very important. To be compensated for the fact that somebody has got benefit from something that you put some real hard labour into, then again that's another thing that is important. What I wouldn't want is just a sort of provider who goes in there and just tries to take images down constantly, because I think that gives the wrong message. If an individual or a business is using imagery that you produce for somebody else, or maybe for yourself even, they've copied it, they've put it onto their own website, whatever it is they've done, and they're using it in a way that you didn't expect, I think it's better to try and approach them and so to try and make contact and work on the basis that, well, presumably you like that image, maybe it's good for your business, I could do more of that for you, and actually we could take it a step further and do something a bit more bespoke. So you could potentially build a future client out of somebody who has misappropriated imagery that you've produced. So yes, there's a wider question than just going in and saying, oh, you've got that image, you shouldn't be using it, and bring it down, because hey, there could be business in it. I like the idea that the ease of use steps in, because the photographer doesn't have to keep sending imagery through to Veritent to follow, because once the photographer said, well, this is where I use content, and those various areas, probably more than one, then it means the photographer's got the assurance that he or she has got their imagery protected by Veritent. I suppose the best thing then is to tell Veritent that I'm on SmugMug, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn, whatever else, and then as you say, if the content is uploaded to each one of those areas, then your system is automatically tracking them, and there's no need for the photographer to say in addition. As you say, you're not doubling the workload by saying, oh, I've got these images just to make sure maybe you've got everything, because you will if you've been told effectively where the address is that the photographer's storing them otherwise. As a photographer, I like the assurance that I'm going to know where my images are. So I might upload them to one or two sites, and if I've told Veritent where they are, then Veritent can just pick up on that automatically, which is great. And it just means that everything that's put on that's new, it's all being followed, and it's going to give me good information as to how clients use imagery, but also it gives me a bit of information as to whether they're using it within the agreed terms as well. And then if images are being used in a way that is way outside, somebody else has pinched them and effectively using them for their own purposes, then it means that I can seek compensation for that, or have that discussion that we talked about, where potentially could make a new client because clearly they like the imagery that they've pinched. So it might not be the right way to start a connection, but it's not a bad one. If it makes business, then that's great. So I think in not having Veritent, it basically leaves you out on your own. You don't have the support, the legal support that's coming through from Veritent, all that kind of thing. With that all being linked in, and then you deciding how you want to be able to approach somebody who's misappropriated, let's say, put it nicely, your imagery, then you're armed with information that otherwise you just wouldn't have. And I wouldn't want to be on my own, put it that way, to try and track down where images are being used and then try to, on my own, or maybe off the word with a friend or two, say, oh well, they might be able to help you with this or that. With Veritent, it's a package.